Hey, first grade. Today we are going to be working on Chapter 3, Lesson 7 on adding to make 10. And I think some good things that you have at home. Your counters that are yellow and red. And then you have a work mat with two 10 frames on them. 10 and 10 make 20. So 20 total spaces, but two 10 frames. This is a 10 frame. This is a 10 frame. These would be a great practice to have, and you can also use them to help you with your lesson today. Now, we're going to pull out Chapter 3, Lesson 7 worksheet page, and we're going to start with the Math in My World. So go ahead and pull out, it says 249 on the bottom corner, and it looks kind of like what we just talked about. It has the two 10 frames, a 10 frame here and a 10 frame right here. So the first thing we're going to start out with, I have counters, if you can see them back here. I'm going to use red and blue. Now yours are red and yellow, but they're the same counters. So if I say yellow and I'm using blue, you know what I mean. So at the bottom, one says 2, use our counters to model. There are 9 counters in this yellow frame. So I'm going to count 9 and put them in my frame, and I want you to do that with your red ones as well. 1, 2, we know there's always 5 and 5 in a 10 frame, so I know I've got 5 once I got the top filled. 6, 7, 8, 9. They wanted 9 red counters in the yellow 10 frame. They want us to put 5 counters in the purple 10 frame. So I'm just going to use the blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I knew to put the first row because that's 5. So I've got 9 in the yellow 10 frame, 5 in the purple 10 frame. But it wants me to move the counters to make 10. Okay, I've got to move the counters to make 10. Well, I know that we have 9, and how many boxes left up here to make 10? Right, I have just 1 that I would need to move from down below to make 10. So instead of having 9 now, I have 10 up here. It says, to move the counters to make 10, color the boxes used. Write how many counters there are in all. So the boxes that we used, if you wanted to take these off, you could color them in. Right now, we can just look and see that in this first one, we have how many? If it's a 10 frame and we filled it up by moving the blue one, we have 10 in our first 10 frame. If we look down below, we've got to count on from 10 to see how many we have total. So after 10, what comes? Good. 11, 12, 13, 14. So altogether, we have 14, and I can put that right here, 14. Another way to do that is I could have counted 10, and I could have counted 4. So if I know that I have 10 and 4, we know that that makes 14. If you can see my work, I'll move this so you can see a little bit. 10 and 4 makes the 14. So just a couple ways that we could have done it there. Okay. Let's go ahead and take our counters off and flip it over on the back side to the guided practice. Now they're going to have the counters and the 10 frames there for us. So if you want to put your counters to the side for now, you can. Or you can do it along with us on your 10 frames and counters page 2 if you want to have another way to practice it besides on the worksheet. Okay, I'm going to turn it over. And this is what our guided practice should look like. Okay. On the first one, it says that we can make 10 to help us add. So if you can tell, they have some red counters on the top. And if you can see, 5 and 4, there's 9 red at the top. How many yellow do we have at the second one? In the second 10 frame? Well, we've got 2 at the bottom. So what we're adding is 9 plus 2, but they want to give us an easier way to do that. And hopefully you can see it on mine. I know it's got a little bit blurred out. But they want us to move one counter up to make 10 so it's easier to count. So what we would do is we would take this yellow one, cross it out here, move it up to the top, and now instead of 9 and 2, we have 10 and how many down below in the second frame? We got rid of this one, so we only have the 1. So we've got 10 and 1. That's a lot easier to add than 9 and 2. So 10 and 1 more makes 11, which is also the same as saying 9 plus 2 equals 11. Because in our 10 frames, as you can see, we've got now 10 and 1. 10 and 1 make 11. We're going to try that down here on the next couple. For number 1, it says to use your work mat that we just talked about, this work mat, and make a 10 to add. So you can go ahead and use your work mat, and you can kind of see they're going to guide us and help us out how to make the 10. So on this one, the problem says 7 plus 5. If you look at the first 10 frame, we can see that we have 7 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 in that first frame right now. There's 5 down below. But in order to make this easier to add, we want to make 10. So how many would we need to add to the 7 from our second 10 frame of the yellow to make 10? Well, those arrows are guiding us to help us. We would need to add 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go ahead and cross these out since I'm using the worksheet to show that I moved them up to now have 10 in my first frame, and I no longer have 5. How many do we have there? 1, 2. I now have 2 in the second one. 10 plus 2 equals, well, if you're not sure, we can count, or we know to start from counting on from 10. What comes after 10? 11, 12. So 10 plus 2 is 12, just as the same as 7 plus 5 is also 12. But making 10 first and adding the remainder is a lot easier to add than 7 plus 5. Let's try one more before you start on your worksheets on your own. I'm going to move this over a little so we can see. Let's take a look at number 2. Here it says 8 plus 7, but it wants us to make 10 and find the remainder to get the answer. So let's take a look. It's kind of got some scratches on there. Of course, we can see we've got the 5 and 3 makes 8. So we're starting out with 8. And then we have 5 and 2, which makes 7. So the 8 is the first one, 7 is the second one. Well, we know, of course, our goal is to make 10. If I have 8, how many do I need to add from the bottom or move to make 10? Look at the arrows. I need to move 2 from the bottom 10 frame up at the top. So it's kind of like you're borrowing them and getting rid of them there. I moved 2, and how many are left here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I now have 10 plus 5, if I have 10 and I count on from 5, after 10 comes 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 is our answer to 10 and 5 make 15. So now we know also it's the same as 8 plus 7, also equals 15. We're just getting the easier way to solve the problem. I want you to try this on your own on independent practice. Now remember, you can use your 10 frames to help you. They're just like what we had on the worksheet, except you are able to move them instead of having to cross the pictures out on the worksheet. Good luck, and I hope you do well. Bye.